Okay, this is an overview of an analysis of mini-perm debt. Okay, and I met somebody who was very good. I better not say her name, you know, who had been a banker for a whole long time. And she told me, look, you have a class, I want you to go over three things. I want you to go over how you can insert and put a scenario analysis in anybody's, into any other model you get, number one. Number two, I want you to work on and tell me how to structure debt. I want all my employees to know how to do the sculpting and everything else. And number three, I want them to be able to do a credit analysis of a mini perm. Now, a mini perm, the way it works is you have a underlying amortization period. So let's make our amortization period a little longer. That's just like our normal sculpting we've been talking about forever. And then I think now this is the first video. I'm gonna make a few different videos about, more details of all of this. What a stupid thing to say. I'm gonna show you the specifics and get into the details. This is the overview one. If you make the mini perm, what happens with the mini perm is that we hit a maturity and then this thing doesn't matter anymore. We have to refinance. And you can refinance in the public markets, and that's when everything's all good. But here's what's happened. And we're using a toll road for this, because bad things can happen. Now, just a minute, Of course, one of my favorite studies is the case studies. I haven't finished my book I'm trying to write on this. Is the Eurotunnel. And in Eurotunnel, my friend gave me, it says 1997, the Eurotunnel offering memorandum. Look, it's all such shit. So stuff, sorry. Oh no! I'm not going to stop the video just because of that. It had all this stuff about how they made their forecasts, which were so bad. Now, the interesting thing about this is the first time I read it, I thought, how laughable, what a bunch of idiots these bankers are. And then I started looking at the data. It's not all that crazy. And then what I'm doing and what I've done in a prior case study and what I'm going to do oh, you don't care about my travel thing here. Then you just go to the Eurotunnel annual reports and you just look at what their actual data was. And we're going to use the read PDF and all that stuff. And thankfully, we can even, I'm trying to make this read PDF so it works with the French, with the European structure as well as the, regular old commas, the Anglo-Saxon stuff. Okay? Now, I'm not talking about this. Here's why I mentioned it. Because the interesting part, what happens is, let's say this is our base case traffic and we sculpted this against 1.4. Now, if we did this, let's increase the debt to capital. This has got a whole, debt to capital constraint versus DSCR constraint. Okay? If we put a lower debt to capital, that's determining the size of the debt. So that's our structuring issue. Okay? All right, let's use 1.4 against this base case. That's what I was told, that kind of typical. And this, I don't know if 7 would be considered a hard or a soft. I should ask if it's only got a 5 years, then it's called a soft mini perm. I should have made it even less. It can be 3 years. You might think that's good. Now here's the problem. The first thing, this is, I've spent too much time on structuring, probably not enough time on credit analysis. And what we do is we click this and it's got a copy paste and it copies and it fixes this. So now I can start doing some downside cases. And when I do downside cases, here is the next thing, and it's so easy, it's hardly worth saying. But I have a special case, a very, very special case, where we change some of the inputs. And when we change some of the inputs, I mean, when we put a spinner box here. Now, if I start putting my traffic down, which is what happened with Euro money, the traffic was half of what people thought it was. Now, that I left that in sculpting mode. Oh, shoot, that's not so bad. I'm going to reset. This is just another, it's a copy and paste macro. I have been trying to make a function, and I'm so close, but I can't quite get it. This wonderful function that is going to do the, you don't have to do a copy and paste anymore if I can get it right. I'm so close, so close. Okay, now, so we are on sculpting. Yeah, no, that was okay. We were on, now we're on credit analysis. If we're on this, oh, let's make it at 1.5 times coverage. Okay, and let's click this. I'm going to see what the LLCR and the DSCR and everything else was in the Euro tunnel, because that's what's in those forecasts. That's, isn't that cool? What a waste of my life. I'm getting old. Now, where was I? Okay, so now we fixed it. And if I just lower the traffic, that's when the refinancing is going to be an issue. If you're going to get better than it, if you're going to, after the fact, if you're going to prove you have high traffic, there's going to be no issue with refinancing. Now, what this person told me is she said, well, here, I'll put it a little bit lower there. What is going on? Okay, now I hit a default. And this whole program shows you how to model a default. And then if you have a low enough default, I can still pay off the loan. Oh, good. It's not so bad. And I can see, well, how low can the traffic go before I can't repay the loan? And uh-oh, here, it went this way. And that's a break even. And there's no DSCR analysis here or anything else. It just pushes it down and down and down until you have a break even. Now let's go back. Let's put it back up. And the real issue that happens is after year 5, in this case, if you're in the downside case, so we better put a little downside assumption, then let's say we can't refinance. And then we put, oh no, I gotta figure out what that little thing is. I'm gonna fix that before I put it on the website. Oh, God darn it, every time there's a little thing like that. All right, and then we can see I can keep pushing the traffic down and down. I'm gonna have to stop the video. No, it just was okay. Let me keep going. Okay, and so we can switch it into a Mini-perm. Oh, shoot, I looked at this, this is actually correct. We had a cash trap, and then after the cash trap, we swept the trapped cash away after we did the refinancing. Enough. Okay? Now, so what we do is we just keep pushing the traffic down, and we see, well, oops, I'm way past the date of not being able to refinance. And that's what we do. We see what day, we see how low can the traffic go before you cannot refinance. And that's how credit analysis should be done with a model. Now, instead of spending a whole lot of time on every little detail and some of my wasted time on circular references, which is part of this, actually, I think making sure that you can kind of do this thing efficiently, where you use a whole lot of switches to just going back and forth between credit analysis and structuring, and making sure you can do a break even and present the final repayment, which is done here. We'll just show some of this very quickly. So the key is to, we'll start with the operations. How's that? Look at this very quickly, the operations and then the construction. And the key is with the debt sizing to use kind of different options, and then to copy and paste special. I hate that really, but whatever. And to fix all of that structuring that you do. And then you go down, and there are a whole lot of cache sweeps and a whole lot of cache traps, and every single one of them has the technique where the amount in the debt balance comes from the cash flow. And there's a defaulted debt, so you can see that and then present that. And then you have this Mini-perm, refinanced Mini-perm with the sweep, and you put a little thing that shows the date at which this Mini-perm was refinanced and all that. Now I'll go through all of some of the techniques in the next couple of videos, okay? But the key is that you really want this. This is the kind of stuff you want to be able to analyze, and when you get these enormous models, oh my God, they're not structured so you can kind of do this stuff. That's the painful part of it. They're not really very flexible. Now to get the repayment date, that's a match and index. And I'll just do that one and then stop this video. But the match and index, you have to go to the total closing balance of the debt somewhere down here. Okay, but if you, and I want to find the total closing balance of the debt is this one. I'll put a Shift Control E on it, okay? And then, but the problem is because we have some debt going up and down, we have to match when it's exactly equal to 0. And we want to, these ones, we might have some closing balances that are 0, and it's a pain. So what I do is I said, okay, let's just make a thing, and let's round it off. And if that one is not equal to 0, then you just round it. Otherwise, I'm sorry, you make it you round it until it goes to 0. I hope. Come on. And you make it go exactly equal to 0 with the round function. So if it's not equal to 0, then whatever then it goes exactly to 0. Okay, and then you can use the match function and just take the entire line and find out the first date it goes to 0. And make sure just here that you don't have some zeros in the construction period. That's why you use the false. And then you just use the index with the match. You just click on the dates and get the index and the match. And that's really the test. And then I'm going to do it again. Let's push the price down a little bit and see it. Oops. Yeah. Oh, let's apply the Mini-perm in. And let's see how low the price can go, so we can tell our credit people, if that's what they're worried about, the price, how low can it go before you can never pay off the debt? And that's a really bad thing. Or how low can it go before you can't pay off the debt in a certain amount of time? And of course, I'm emphasizing this again. The issue with refinancing is all about the downside case. In the upside case, they're going to refinance. In the upside case, if you look at it from an investor standpoint, they got a lot of upside. And the bank has to come up with a technique to really figure out how to test the downside case and make a presentation with this Mini-perm that switches into a cash sweep, how long it can go for. And apparently these cash sweeps have been around for a whole long time. I didn't realize that, but now I do. Okay, so that's an overview. And this file is going to be I'm going to put this in the advanced section. You could say it's not really advanced, but whatever. Because it's really about the maturities. It's about playing with different kind of debt repayments, and that's where I talk about these Mini-perms a little bit. All right? So there'll be 4 other videos on this. So let me stop this. Okay, over.